Hello and welcome to this video introducing Arbortext Layout Editor. This is a new product in the Arbortext product suite. My name's Simon Taylor and I am one of the product management team for Arbortext. I'm responsible for Arbortext Styler, Layout Developer and Layout Editor now. In this video we're going to look at what Arbortext Layout Editor is and why we need it. We're going to look at the file system that's associated with Layout Editor. We're going to look at how you would work inside Layout Editor. We're going to also examine the differences between Layout Developer and Layout Editor because there are quite a few there. Next, we're going to look at how you would position Layout Editor and how you would consider it as part of your product suite. And finally, we're going to look at some of the Layout Editor workflows and how it fits into the rest of the Arbortext ecosystem. The idea for Layout Editor came about from a conversation with a number of our partners. We identified that there's a number of users out there who are using Layout Developer, a development tool, for creating documents by hand. So they're doing a lot of manual work inside a development tool. So what we wanted to do is provide a more accessible version of Layout Developer, which is targeted towards these type of users. So people who are creating documents or finishing documents which have been built on a template which has been developed in Layout Developer. So Layout Editor has exactly the same composition engine that Layout Developer has, so everything should work between the two. But what it does is it protects the template code from the users, so they can't make any changes to the styling or formatting rules. They can only use those to their advantage to create the documents, and what this does is maintains the look and feel that's intended by the template. What we wanted to do on top of Layout Developer then is also to provide a number of different tools to help users do that kind of work. So as you'll see later in this presentation, there are a number of tools to allow template developers to create customized or bespoke interfaces to help their end users use their templates to its full advantage. One of the ways that we thought to protect the template code is by giving Layout Editor its own file types. So Layout Editor can only open Layout Editor files. It can't open Layout Developer files. What you can do though from Layout Developer is create, open and work with Layout Editor files. So you can save out your templates or your documents as Layout Editor documents and templates. But you can also save out Layout Editor namespaces. So for Layout Editor, the documents are .3le file type, the templates are .3lf, and namespaces, which are often linked to templates or documents, are 3ln files. The APP engine that's inside Publishing Engine 8.1 and inside Styler 8.1 can also generate Layout Editor files. So you can save out a Layout Editor file from your print preview if you want to. You can't edit Layout Editor files in a text editor in the same way that you can with Layout Developer files. They're encrypted and protected, so there's no way of one of your users hacking apart your lovely template and making it work incorrectly. As you'll see later on in the demonstration, working in Arbortext Layout Editor is a fairly straightforward affair. Users can create and edit content, so they can create text streams, which is either just a plain text file, XML streams or XML DOMs. They can import and load graphical type content, and they can create and manipulate frames, but only on the main page layer. All the other layers which are part of the document are protected. Users can also change the formatting of the content stream that's in the yellow bar. So there's a new toolbar, this text inserts toolbar, which allows people to do that. The code behind that is defined by some insert markup definitions. And if you want to find out more about insert markup definitions, then listen to the Layout Developer 12.1 presentation. When you use the menu systems to insert formatting changes, the new processing instruction, X3B2 layout, will be used rather than the original processing instructions. This is to protect the template from running hidden code, hidden JavaScript or showstring stuff inside the main content stream. Users can add and edit and rearrange frames which are on the main page layer. So there's a new toolbar which will help users do that. The main page layer is where things like footnotes and floating graphics will be placed, so that allows them to move those things around and make the document look good. There's some new text tools provided in the Stream Properties toolbar. I'll talk about that some more in the demonstration, but these tools are there to help people work with the content that's in the yellow bar. We've provided in 12.1 a number of different tools which help template developers create custom interfaces for their layout editor users. So the insert markup definitions are one of those things. So you can create a simple dialog box to insert the markup that you want underneath the specific command. We've given JavaScript access to toolbars in 12.1, so people can create their own customized toolbars which are specific to their template, and those toolbars can contain actions which do things specific for the users of their template to make them more productive. And in 12.0 we added the blue bar customization, and you'll see an example of this in the demonstration later. But the blue bar customization is another way of providing a customized interface for users to make their lives easier when they're working inside Layout Editor. As with Layout Developer, all output generation is the same. So people can print, use the super print, and create the same output in the same way that they would do inside Layout Developer. This next slide talks about the differences, the main differences between Layout Developer and Layout Editor. These differences are important to understand because when you buy Layout Editor, you're not really getting a cheap version of Layout Developer. The main ethos behind Layout Editor is that we want to protect the template code from the end users. This protection stops a corruption of the look and feel of the documents and keeps everything constrained within what the template developer intended the template to be used for. So the main difference is that users cannot create new styles or new scripting code. Okay, so if users want to change the style of the content, they can do that by selecting the content and applying formatting properties through the menus, and that will insert the X362 layout stuff. Users can also use pre-built insert markup definitions from custom toolbars if they want to do that as well, but that would be taken care of by the template developer. So the main difference then is that styling is protected in Layout Editor. Also, a lot of macros are locked or restricted from Layout Editor usage, so they cannot be run from the macro bar. They can be run from scripts which have been pre-built by template developers, but those are predefined things built inside Layout Developer and made available to the Layout Editor users. So many of the macros are restricted. If you were going to browse tags, for example, in Layout Editor, you would see that the only tags that you can see in Layout Editor are those ones which you can create. So those will be content tags, XML streams, text streams, graphic tags, and frame type tags. If a template developer wants to allow things to be created and manipulated, they will have to write code for that and provide tools via dialog boxes and that kind of thing to make those changes. Layout Editor also has a limited number of system files which could be customized. So most of those will be removed from the installation folder, and if users want to create changes to the system files, so template developers want to create some customizations to the system files, we recommend that they do that via libraries. So add-on libraries are a well-established system for creating customized environments. We recommend that any overrides to strings, for example menus or dialog boxes, should be done through libraries. So as I mentioned, and hopefully that you've understood from this presentation so far, is Layout Editor is entirely there for those users who want to create or finish documents by hand. They want a manual process at the end of their production process which will allow them to either tweak a document or to build it by hand based on a layout developer template. So those users will need to have access to somebody who's created that template. So they're either going to need to have layout developer licenses themselves, or they're going to have easy access to a partner who can develop and maintain those templates and turn around changes for them quickly. So ideally, there would be 1 or 2 licenses of layout developer within the team, and then there will be many layout editor licenses which will be used by the majority of the team to do that manual work and to finish documents. If people are using Publishing Engine, for example, to create their documents, then the template code will have to be able to create out, save out a layout editor file and make that available to the layout editor users for them to do their finishing work. So let's expand on those use cases and workflows a little bit more. So over here we have Arbortext Layout Developer, and this is where templates will be created. Okay, so template development will be done in the same way, but once you finish with your template, you can either deploy it as a layout developer template, an APP template inside Publishing Engine, or you can create a layout editor template, a 3LF file, and give those to your layout editor users. If you're going to go this route, the expectation would be that the template has dialog boxes and scripting in it to help your layout editor users load in content, format the document, and get started that way. If you're going the Publishing Engine route, then the expectation would be that content will come from Arbortext Editor, that publishing request will be made to Publishing Engine using your template as the style sheet for that publishing process, and out the back will pop a 3LE file which can then be opened by your layout editor users. The layout editor users can then open that up, make their changes to the formatting, changes to page layout, for example, and then create their PDF output. So all of this stuff is dedicated towards creating good looking output, which is exactly how you want it to look. The demo that's coming up in a sec will go through a very similar process where content starts in Arbortext Editor. We use a print preview rather than Publishing Engine because that's more visible, and then we use Layout Editor to fine-tune the output to create PDF output. So we'll start our demo of Layout Editor over here in Arbortext Editor. So this is an XML instance that we've created for the Layout Developer and Layout Editor datasheets. We do all our publishing for the datasheets in-house using our own tools. And what we're going to do first is use the template that's been developed for this datasheet. It's a standard template that was written with Layout Editor in mind. And let me just fire that off, and you'll see that it will create pages very, very quickly. That's one of the advantages of using Layout Developer and Layout Editor, is that it formats an awful lot quicker than our styler method, because we're writing native code, which is always a lot quicker. From here we can scroll through the pages. You can see that we've got some floating areas, these boxes down here, and we've got some inline graphics. Everything looks like it's pretty good, except for this page, page 2, where we've got a lot of white space at the bottom of this column. So we're going to open this up in Layout Editor, and we're going to make some changes to make this thing fit and look a lot nicer. So we'll save a Layout Editor file, and we'll call it ALD datasheet. That's created the Layout Editor file. Let's open this up in Layout Editor then. Here you can see we've opened the file in Layout Editor. You can see from the UI that it looks very familiar and very similar to Layout Developer, but it is different. For those of you who aren't familiar with Layout Developer, the interface is divided into a number of different areas. The main area is this panel here, which is the WYSIWYG view. Now this shows you exactly what the page is going to look like when it's printed to whatever output you choose. Over here on the right in this yellow area we have the edit bar, and this will show you the text stream that you click in. Here you can see that it's showing the XML that we generated over in Arbortext Editor. This panel here on the left is called the blue bar or left bar. This is a customization. This doesn't come out of the box, and I'll talk about this customization in a little while. Up the top here we have the main toolbar. This toolbar is different in Layout Editor because it has this set of icons here which are available in text mode. If I switch to page mode, it changes to page specific icons. Going back to text mode, up here in the menus are slightly different. They are cut down so that it provides layout editor tools rather than layout developer tools. One of the things you'll notice, especially if I do browse tags, even though this template, this document is full of JavaScript tags, the only tags that you can see and that you can edit are those which are considered content. So things like XML streams, XML DOMs, text streams, graphics, and so on. Everything else is hidden away from the user, so your template code is protected. One of the features that we provided in 12.1 was this stream properties toolbar down here. You can see that the XML is just one long stream, but I now have the option to pretty print it or normalize the space in that stream. Pretty printing makes it an awful lot easier to navigate through your XML and to find exactly what you want. There's also this option here which allows you to auto indent the content to the same depth that's in the previous line. One of the things that we wanted to provide in Layout Editor was the ability to customize the interface fairly easily. So in this example, in this demo, we have a customization to the insert markup feature which is used up here in this toolbar. I'll show that in a sec. And we've also added a customization to the blue bar to provide some interactive feedback to what's going on. So let's have a look at the toolbar up here. So one of the things that we want to be able to do is allow users to customize this so that it provides the markup or the properties that they want to provide to their end users. We've customized this slightly in this template so that if I choose text width, this list here that's provided is constrained within these values, and these are values specific to this template. That's done in the auto exec of this template so that every time the user wants to use this, they only get those values. The next bit over here is this customized blue bar. We provided the blue bar customizations in 12.0, but I'm using it in this example to show the types of things that you can do. Here I'm showing the XML hierarchy and the allowed children and allowed siblings. Now this information is based on a configuration file, but it could just as easily be pulled from a DTD that's associated with the XML content. So if I navigate around my XML, you can see that I update automatically the XML hierarchy and what the allowed children and allowed siblings are. The allowed siblings part of this customization allows us to hook into the insert markup feature, which is provided up here, but we're calling it here from the blue bar. So for example, I can highlight companies, click on the bold allowed children, and it will insert the markup where it's supposed to be, just using the insert markup feature. I can add italic as well. Bosh, there we go. If you remember from the print preview, we wanted to sort out something that was on page 2. So let's page down to that page. Here we can see that the gap is still there. So there's two things we could do. First thing we could do is squeeze back this content here. So I can select this text here and change the word spacing, or sorry, the text width. Change it to that value, hit OK. It'll ask the processing instructions necessary to do that, and you see it saves the line. That saving the line brings back the features paragraph. Another thing I could do, if I didn't want that paragraph back in there, is just insert a random graphic. So up here I've customized the insert graphic, insert markup toolbar option. I'm going to pick a graphic. For my graphics, I'm going to choose the ALE splash screen, hit OK, and it'll insert the figure and the graphic pointing to the PNG that I've just selected. For the sake of this demo, something else that you might want to do is, for example, move this frame around. So in this template, I created the frame and put it onto the page. It's actually cut out the graphic from the text and stuck it into a frame instead. So what I can do here is I can move that around, and you can see how the page flows around it. You can get the output that you like, make it look as nice as you like. You can scale it, you can change pretty much everything about that frame to get exactly the output that you want before you generate your output. So when you finished fiddling around with your layout and made it look exactly how you want it to look, there's two things you want to do. One of them will be to create output. So all the standard print options are available in Layout Editor as they are in Layout Developer. I'm just going to create a PDF. Didn't take very long. There's the PDF. As you can see, it looks exactly how it does in the WYSIWYG view. That's good. The other thing you might want to do is, because you've made changes to the XML, you might want to export that. So you could either copy and paste it from the yellow bar, or there are options inside Layout Editor to export the XML content as a text stream. You can then overwrite the XML that you've been working with and check that back in as a complete and finished article. So this concludes our introduction to Arbortext Layout Editor. If you've got any questions about Layout Editor or Layout Developer or anything else that you've seen here today, please feel free to get in touch. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.